correct me if I'm wrong. This is my opinion. I'd love your take because obviously you know this way more. I feel like I don't ever remember a season going into the postseason and how the postseason has played out up until this point where we're sort of about to get to the conference finals soon, where it's just been as wide open as it is. I don't ever remember it this wide open where anybody, if you said any team won the NBA finals, you wouldn't be shocked.
Right. I've called it all along, even during the regular season. It's the season of the unpredictable. I have never seen a season with so much unpredictable outcomes, performances by teams, performances by players. It's like none I've ever seen. And to me, that adds to the excitement. It's always great to have that Goliath. But when you have where so many teams feel that they can win it, it adds to the drama. It adds to the theater. And that's why I felt the regular season and now the postseason has been great.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I sort of feel like in every league, NFL, baseball, NBA, I see the pluses when you have a dominant team, and I see the pluses when you have sort of a villain, a team that people want to root against. You know, the Patriots in the NFL, you know, come to mind a little bit. But I've enjoyed it so much, the postseason of the NBA this year, with everything. You know, one night you think, okay, this is, you know, the Lakers might be the best team in the West. Then one night you think, okay, you know, there was in the first round, I thought the Kings would maybe make a run because they looked so good in that first round. The East was always wide open, but you have that shocker with Milwaukee out. I think this postseason, the ratings have been great for TNT and ESPN, but I think this has been one of the more exciting postseasons I can remember in recent times.
Well, we could have two play-in teams going at it in the finals. And that says it right there. You mentioned Milwaukee. Most people had Milwaukee a definite in the finals. And they don't just lose in the first round. They lose in 5 games to a team that lost a play-in game. Yeah. It's wild. And I think part of it is, and I can't remember this happening, you know, every year we say certain teams, they have a small margin for error. Well, even the elite teams this year have a small margin for error. Even the elite teams have flaws. And that's why you see the unbelievable fluctuation in performances from game to game. I mean, playoff series always have that.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's the annual tradition of overreacting to one playoff win and one playoff loss. But with that said, it's still, even the great teams or the teams you consider the elite teams are so unpredictable because they have their flaws as well.
Yeah. I think the only negative I can come up with from this postseason, I really only can come up with one, and it sort of ties into the regular season. I feel like one of the biggest themes throughout the regular season has become the controversy surrounding load management. And we get to the postseason, and we've seen so many big players get injured. You know, Giannis missed some games. Jimmy Butler missed a game. Tyler Hero. You know, it's interesting that load management is such a thing. And then I think the bottom line is you just can't control injuries. They're going to happen whether you have load management or not, as we've seen in the postseason.
Well, playoff success, number one, talent, and number two, and it's right behind, is health. Yeah. Always is, always will be. And you know, some players who had load management during the course of the regular season, they're still getting hurt. Right. And now you're seeing some players who are not used to playing major minutes, playing 40-plus minutes, 44, 45 minutes. And you look at them at the end of the game, and they're gassed, absolutely gassed. So I get it. But for me, the load management, that whole controversy is more a problem for the fans.
Yeah.
For the fans that pay all the money for the tickets, maybe the one game they go to, because they want to see one player. Their child is just want to see one player. And that one player is not playing in the one game they go to. And that's, to me, that's the hard thing about it.
I don't want to put you on the spot and ask you to criticize an ESPN colleague, but what did you make of Mike Greenberg saying the Lakers should rest all their starters in Game 6?
Well, there's some people that agree with that. I don't. Yeah. And there's no way you're going to rest LeBron James for a playoff game. He's never missed a playoff game. Now, he's missed a lot of regular season games. He's never missed a playoff game. And he is not going to miss a clinch playoff game. There's just no way he's going to do it, especially against the Golden State Warriors. And come playoff time, you can't play with fire like that. You can't overthink it. He needs to be on the court.
So, it's funny. I don't really ever write out specific questions. I just have like topics and bullet points. And I just have one bullet point that says LeBron. And I wanted to get into LeBron a little bit with you because what he's doing at 38 years old is obviously ridiculous. And I sort of feel like we've taken him for granted a little bit at what he's doing at his age. And the fact that you would just mention that he's never missed a postseason game. I mean, I didn't even know that. I didn't realize that. I mean, we say it so casually. I mean, think about that. This is a guy, 38 years old. How many years in his career has he missed the playoffs? Once or twice, probably. Oh, well, maybe a couple of years there at the beginning with Cleveland, but
a couple of years with
yeah. But for him to never miss a playoff game, I mean, that's just unbelievable.
He is. You're right. All the great players, whether you're talking about Kobe, LeBron, Steph Curry, Tim Duncan, I always felt they're always taken for granted because you just expect them to play at this level of greatness night in and night out, and they basically do. What he's doing, though, at this age, he's putting up numbers that even all-star players would give anything to play up when they're 24. The numbers he put up this season in his 20th year at age 38, there are many players in the Hall of Fame. If you take their best season, it doesn't equal to what he did. He has, I've always said this, he has the longest prime in the history of the NBA, and he could be the most remarkable. And I don't get into the GOAT debates. That stuff drives me crazy. But I've always said with him, he takes a backseat to no one who's ever played the game.
I wish I remembered who it was because I don't remember. I think it was maybe Reggie Miller calling the game with Harlan, but I don't remember. It might have been York. I don't remember the crew, but it was in the first round of the playoffs, one of the games, and LeBron, I think, grabbed a rebound, ran down the court at full speed and put in a layup. And whoever the analyst was, I think it was Reggie Miller, all he said was, he's 38 years old. And the power that he still has, the speed, it's really remarkable.
But it's what I think fans know, but you really have to understand, it's all sacrifice. The reason he's been able to play like this, he spends so much time getting his body ready, letting his body recover, knowing everything that needs to go in for him to be able to do that, do a coast-to-coast play like that. So he sacrifices his time, his personal time, his time with his family. All the great ones do that. Kobe Bryant did it. Steph Curry does it. But for LeBron James at this level, so much goes into getting his body ready and getting his body with the ability to do that. That's the whole key to that. And how many players are willing to do that? Now, in the end run, the sacrifice, of course, it's worth it for him. But he sacrifices a lot to get to play at this level year after year, night after night.
Funny LeBron story that ties into you. I know you're not on Twitter. We've talked about this before, and you try not to pay attention to all that stuff, which is smart. But I was going through Twitter just to see if anything was going on with you and what fans were saying. And obviously we all know about Bang and Way Off have become these things that the fans love that you do. But in the last Laker Warriors game that you called, LeBron had a block, and you had said, I think your call was, blocked by LeBron, or your call was similar to when he had probably the greatest block in NBA history in the finals. And all these Warriors fans on Twitter were saying that Mike Breen was giving them PTSD with the way you called the LeBron block against the Lakers the other night, because it was the same way when he was with Cleveland, when he had that still hard to believe block against the Warriors in the finals.
But for me, always, in some ways, I find the block shot the most exciting play in basketball. Because not only is it a great play for your team, it's such a deflating play for the opponent. And, that block basically won the finals and won his championship because of what he did. And the block he did the other day from where he started to then, it was equally as exciting. The stakes obviously weren't as high. Right. It was magnificent. And he just continues to do the magnificent as if it's routine. And by the way, I have a Twitter account, because the best way to follow the NBA is on Twitter. I follow writers, teams, everything. And it's the best way. I just don't tweet.
So you're an Iron Eagle. That's the Iron Eagle move.
Yes,
I don't know who did it first. You were Iron.
I and I have discussed this. Not only is it the best way, it's also very good for our mental health.